I need to tell you something that until 72 hours ago, only 14 people on this planet knew, and I'm risking everything by saying it out loud. Before we begin, I need you to do something for me. Comment your city name below and tell me, have you noticed anything unusual in the night sky recently? Any flickering stars? Any lights that shouldn't be there? NASA is quietly collecting data, and what they're finding is disturbing. Do it now, because what I'm about to share may change the way you see humanity's place in the universe. My name is Moku. I'm a theoretical physicist. I've spent 5 decades studying the fabric of spacetime, the nature of parallel universes, the mathematics of consciousness itself. I've advised governments. I've worked alongside the greatest minds in cosmology, quantum mechanics, and astrophysics. And I can tell you with absolute certainty that nothing in my career prepared me for what happened near Jupiter 17 days ago. It started with 3IA Atlas. You might remember the name. Back in late 2019, astronomers at the Atlas survey in Hawaii detected what they initially classified as just another interstellar object, the second ever observed passing through our solar system after Oumuamua. They called it 3 Atlas, Comet 3 Atlas. Unremarkable, they said. Just ice and rock from another star system, drifting through the cosmic void on a trajectory that would take it past our sun and back out into the infinite darkness. But they were wrong. 3 Atlas wasn't a comet. It wasn't ice. It wasn't rock. And 17 days ago, as it crossed into the gravitational influence of Jupiter, something inside it woke up. I was at Princeton when I received the call. It was 2:47 a.m. The voice on the other end was someone I'd worked with at NASA's Jet Propulsion Laboratory, someone I trust implicitly. He didn't identify himself. He simply said, "Mikio, you need to see this. We have a Code Terminus event near Jupiter." Code Terminus. I'd heard the phrase only once before, buried in a classified briefing document I wasn't supposed to read. It's NASA's internal designation for an extraterrestrial intelligence event of catastrophic priority. The kind of discovery that doesn't get announced. The kind that gets locked in a vault and discussed only in rooms without windows. I arrived at JPL within hours. When I walked into the operations center, the room was silent. Not the productive silence of focused scientists, but the suffocating silence of people who've just looked into the abyss and realized it was looking back. On the main display screen was an image from the James Webb Space Telescope trained on the coordinates where 3I Atlas had been tracked. What I saw defied every principle of astrophysics I've ever taught. There was a tear in space. Not metaphorically, not theoretically. A literal rupture in the fabric of spacetime approximately 800 Lausenkonavos from Jupiter's outer magnetosphere. It appeared as a dark spiraling aperture, like a wound in reality itself, surrounded by concentric rings of distorted light where gravitational lensing was bending photons around its perimeter. The rift measured roughly 42 km across at its widest point, and it was expanding 6 km. Doesn't sound like much, does it? But in the vacuum of space, with nothing to stop it, that rate of expansion means something truly terrifying. At current velocity, the rift would reach critical mass, what we estimate to be large enough to destabilize Jupiter's orbital mechanics within 96 days. But here's what made my blood run cold. The rift wasn't random. It wasn't a natural phenomenon. When we analyzed the spectroscopic data, we found something that shouldn't exist. A coherent electromagnetic signature pulsing from the aperture's edge at precisely 1.42 GHz. The hydrogen line frequency, the universal calling card, the frequency that every astronomer in the galaxy would recognize as artificial, as intelligent. Someone or something was signaling through the rift. 3 Atlas hadn't malfunctioned. It had completed its mission. For the past 72 hours, I've been part of an emergency task force assembled by NASA, the Department of Defense, and the National Security Agency. We've been working around the clock to understand what we're dealing with. And what we've discovered is so profoundly disturbing, so fundamentally incompatible with our understanding of the universe that I'm not sure humanity is prepared to hear it. But you need to know because this affects all of us, every man, woman, and child on this planet. Let me explain what 3i Atlas really was. Based on trajectory analysis, we now know that 3 Atlas originated from the direction of the Orcus constellation, approximately 400 light-years from Earth. That's significant. Opus contains some of the densest star-forming regions in our local galactic neighborhood, places where civilizations could have emerged billions of years before our own solar system even existed. 3 Atlas traveled for millennia to reach us, not drifting randomly, but aimed with surgical precision. Its trajectory wasn't natural. When you run the orbital mechanics backward, accounting for stellar drift and gravitational perturbations, the object was clearly guided, course-corrected, steered through the cosmic darkness with a purpose. It was a probe, an emissary sent by an intelligence that understands physics in ways we're only beginning to grasp. And when it reached Jupiter, the largest gravitational anchor in our solar system besides the Sun, it deployed. What we're calling the rift is actually far more complex than a simple tear. It's a controlled destabilization of local spacing, a technology that appears to function as some kind of dimensional gateway or communications portal. The mathematics are obscene. To create a stable wormhole, even a microscopic one, requires exotic matter with negative energy density. It requires manipulating the Casimir effect on scales we can barely theorize. It requires a civilization with mastery over quantum field theory so advanced that calling it alien technology feels inadequate. This is the work of something ancient, something that has been engineering reality itself for eons. But the most disturbing part, we're receiving a signal through the rift, and we've partially decoded it. The transmission is multi-layered, simultaneously broadcasting in gravitational waves, neutrino pulses, and modulated electromagnetic radiation. It's designed to be impossible to miss, and when our team at the National Radioastronomy Observatory ran the signal through pattern recognition algorithms, we found something embedded in the data structure, mathematical proofs, prime number sequences, universal constants, the same kind of basic information we sent out on the Voyager Golden Record, except infinitely more sophisticated. They're speaking to us in the language of the cosmos. And the message is clear. We are not alone. We have never been alone. And humanity's existence has been carefully monitored for far longer than we've suspected. Buried within the signal was something else. A schematic, a diagram that our quantum computing team is still trying to fully interpret. It appears to be some kind of map, not of physical space, but of what we think might be a network, a web of similar rifts spread across the galaxy, connecting thousands of star systems, a cosmic infrastructure, a galactic civilization, and we were never invited. This is where my hands start shaking when I talk about it, because when we cross-reference the signal's embedded coordinates with known deep space anomalies, we found something that the public has never been told. There have been other events, other rifts detected by radio telescopes and deep space monitoring stations over the past 40 years and quietly classified. In 1977, the famous WDO signal, that 72-second burst of radio energy from Sagittarius that astronomers have never been able to explain, wasn't random interference. It was a rift opening briefly, like a door cracking open and then slamming shut. In 2007, the first fast radio burst was detected. Then more, dozens, hundreds. We've been calling them natural phenomena, magnetars, colliding neutron stars, exotic astrophysical processes. But when you overlay their positions on a galactic map, they form a pattern, a network, and every single one of them aligns with the schematic we pulled from the 3i Atlas signal. We're surrounded. The galaxy is alive with intelligence. And Earth, Our tiny blue, marble-orbiting and unremarkable yellow star sits inside what can only be described as a cosmic quarantine zone. Let me tell you what I think is happening. This is my assessment based on everything I've seen, everything I've calculated, everything that keeps me awake at night staring at equations that shouldn't be possible. Humanity is being tested. 3 Atlas wasn't an invasion. It wasn't an accident. It was a deliberate act by something that has been watching us, studying us, waiting to see if we're ready. Ready for what? Contact, integration, ascension to whatever galactic community exists beyond the boundaries of our perception. But there's a problem. We're failing the test. Look at us. Look at what we've become. We've barely left our own planet. We've sent 12 humans to the moon and called it our greatest achievement. We fight wars over borders drawn in sand. We poison our own atmosphere for profit. We build weapons capable of annihilating our species and point them at each other. We have the scientific knowledge to cure diseases, to end hunger, to reach the stars. And we spend it on greed, on hate, on tribalism. From the perspective of a civilization that can tear holes in space-seam, we must look like children playing with matches in a room full of gasoline. And that's why the rift is opening. I believe, and this is the part that haunts me, the part that makes me question everything I thought I understood about our place in the universe. I believe the rift is a warning, a final chance. The alien intelligence behind 3IA Atlas is showing us what's possible. They're demonstrating technology so far beyond our comprehension that it should humble us into silence. They're saying this is what you could become, but first you have to survive yourselves. Jupiter was chosen deliberately. It's far enough from Earth that the rift doesn't pose an immediate existential threat, but close enough that we can observe it, study it, fear it. It's a demonstration, a billboard written in the language of physics. And the message is simple. Grow up or be left behind. But there's something else, something darker. The rift is accelerating, not just expanding but changing. Over the past 48 hours, we've detected secondary emissions, bursts of exotic particles we don't have names for, quantum fluctuations that violate conservation laws, even brief glimpses of what appears to be matter from outside our space-time continuum. It's as if something is trying to come through. As if the door we're looking at isn't just open, something is knocking on the other side. Our models suggest that if the expansion rate continues, the rift will reach a critical threshold in 63 days. After that, we don't know what happens. Does it collapse? Does it stabilize? Or does something emerge? NASA has already begun contingency planning. There are discussions, quiet, classified discussions about sending a probe through the rift, about attempting communication, about preparing the public for an announcement that would fundamentally rewrite human history. But I'm terrified of what we might find. Because what if we're not special? What if humanity's entire existence, our art, our music, our science, our wars, our loves, our fears, what if all of it is just background noise to a civilization so advanced that we're barely worth acknowledging? What if the reason they've kept us in quarantine isn't to protect us, but to protect themselves, to contain the virus of human aggression and short-sightedness until we either evolve or destroy ourselves? I think about consciousness. I think about what it means to be aware, to think, to feel. For decades, I've argued that consciousness is fundamental to the universe, that it's not an accident of evolution, but a property woven into the quantum fabric of reality itself. And if that's true, then intelligence isn't rare. It's everywhere waiting, watching, and we are the late arrivals to a party that's been going on for billions of years. 3. Atlas was the invitation. The rift is the doorway, and humanity stands at the threshold, terrified and unprepared, staring into a universe that is far stranger, far more dangerous, and far more magnificent than we ever imagined. So, what happens next? Honestly, I don't know. No one does. We're monitoring the rift continuously. Every telescope we have, Webb, Hubble, the Very Large Array, the Square Kilometer Array, is pointed at Jupiter. We're collecting data at a rate that's overwhelming our computational infrastructure. Artificial intelligence systems are working around the clock to decode the transmissions, to predict the rift's behavior, to search for any clue that might tell us what comes next. But here's what I do know. This moment, right now, as you're watching this, is the most important moment in human history. More important than the discovery of fire, more important than the invention of agriculture, more important than the splitting of the atom. Because for the first time, we have undeniable proof that we are not the pinnacle of cosmic evolution. We are not alone. And the universe is paying attention. Follow this channel as we continue decoding the universe's final warnings. Because what happens in the next 63 days will determine whether humanity takes its place among the stars or becomes a footnote in the galactic record of civilizations that didn't make it. I want you to think about something tonight. Go outside. Look up at Jupiter. It's visible now, bright in the eastern sky after sunset. You won't see the rift with your naked eye, but it's there, growing, changing, connecting our little corner of the cosmos to something vast and unknowable. And ask yourself, are we ready? Are we ready to meet whatever is on the other side? Are we ready to abandon our petty conflicts and unite as a species? Are we ready to accept that everything we thought we knew about reality was just the first chapter of a much longer story? Or will we do what we've always done? Retreat into fear, denial, and division. The rift is a mirror, and what we see in it will determine our future. So, I'll ask you again, and I need you to comment below. What do you think is coming through? What should humanity do? And if you could send one message to whatever intelligence is behind this, what would you say? Because they're listening. I know they are. And maybe, just maybe, your answer matters more than you think. The universe is waiting and time is running out. Claude can make mistakes. Please double check responses.